Hi, I'm Frankie.
And I'm Cheyenne.
And we are
Conbini Cult.
Welcome to another episode.
Hello.
We're going to be talking about healthcare today.
Yes.
The good, the bad, the bizarre,
ugly, the cheap, the expensive.
The affordability.
Yeah. All of the above.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. We usually start with life updates, but I don't know. Nothing really going on right now.
This is my life now, to be honest. Like outside of work, this is like I don't consider this like a job because it's fun, you know? But like, this is my other only like life update, social life I have. So, nothing to update.
Well, I guess I'm happy to be part of it.
Yeah. So this is like my hangout time. So nothing big to report. Just another day. I'm happy to be here. So
yeah, same. I'm really enjoying the podcast.
Yay.
I was editing most of the day yesterday.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. How was that?
I didn't get as far as I expected to, but it's all right. It's going to be a good one.
It is. It's very exciting. And are you going to, so that one, we just talked about how there was kind of like a plot twist.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to add that like an editor's note? Are you going to film yourself like, you know how they film themselves on like their iPhone or something like, hey, editing me here. I just wanted to add, or just write in the description or?
I might pin a comment with that because I think the episode is already an hour and 12 minutes. Okay. Maybe a little less after I finish editing.
Yeah.
So basically, we had talked about the criminals who are on the most wanted posters that you will find all over Japan. So go back and listen to or watch that episode if you haven't, because we go through the 11 people on the poster, what they did, and
what their crimes are, and what their not their bounty, but like what
the reward
money, their bounty. Yeah.
But actually, so there was one person who I remembered seeing on these posters before, but it was not somebody that we talked about in the previous episode.
Yeah, I don't know why. Like I didn't even think about that person.
Yeah.
When we were talking about it.
But I did find an article. So basically, this person was the most wanted person in Japan for 50 years.
That's so nuts.
And then, we'll link the article, by the way. So it turns out this man was hiding in plain sight in Kamakura.
Yup.
And he wasn't even caught technically, just on his deathbed because he had terminal cancer. So on his deathbed, he told the police, like, by the way, that was me.
Dun, dun, dun. And then, like, checked out.
Wow.
But so obviously, before you get into this episode, please go check out that one first. I hope you watch them or listen to them in order. But such a good, like, not even, would you consider that a plot twist or like turn of events? I don't know. Like,
I mean, I don't remember what that guy had done. Probably something bad if he was on the list for 50 years.
That's like longer than we've been alive, obviously. Almost combined, too, technically.
True.
Yeah, so I can't wait. I mean, as someone who just loves the, like, not horror, like suspense and kind of true crime genre, like, you know, real or fictional, if it turns into a movie, I might be there to watch it. But I want to see what he did first. And that's exciting. Please go watch out for that one.
Okay. All right. So to get into healthcare stuff, so I wanted to just start with a silly story.
Okay.
So even though I live in Osaka, I've been in Osaka for a few years, I've always lived in suburban parts, so not Osaka City.
Okay.
So when I go to a local clinic or something, they're not used to seeing foreigners every day. Like I'm sure they've seen foreigners in their life, but it's not every day that a foreigner walks in. So I went to the eye doctor to get my dry eyes and to check the eye pressure.
Okay.
I needed to get some drops for those. But the doctor was, trying to make small talk. He was like, oh, where are you from? Yeah. Oh, you're from the States. What state are you from?
Yeah.
And then I said, I grew up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I love Nashville.
Oh, okay. You're like, wrong.
So, I love your enthusiasm, but that's not the right state.
Yeah. Did he... No, I'm not even going to get into it. It's fine. I was going to say, like, did he say Nashville thinking, like, they're in the same proximity, or did he just hear the N and he's like New Jersey? Nashville. Or he was just saying like the area I don't know.
No idea, but that made me laugh.
That's cute though. Yeah, sometimes like, I mean, this works for like all kinds of places in Japan too, especially, but when Japanese people, sometimes they're like, it's easy for me because Hawaii is very like, it's a pinpoint like place. It's very obvious like, what it is, where it is to people. But like when some people are like, where in the US are you from? Or like, what state are you from? It's like, if I said what state. Do you even know? Like, not to like make assumptions, but it's also like the US is this huge, you know, like, but again, sometimes they like really do know, like they're really familiar. Like one person, I said like what city, like what county my family lives in Tennessee, because they moved there.
Oh wow.
And they were like, oh yeah, like I'm from, or not from, but I studied here in like this one area that was like very near there. And
wow.
I was like, whoa, okay. So sometimes it makes sense. Well, good on that guy. I hope he did have fun in Nashville. Whatever he did there.
I've never been to Nashville.
I
would like to go.
I'd like to go, maybe not now in these times.
Yeah, maybe not now.
But I hear it's really fun. I mean, Nashville, that's where country music and everything was like
music
born.
Apparently good
popular
barbecue and stuff.
Yeah. So I know Nashville's in Tennessee, and I just said my family lives in Tennessee.
Your family lives in Tennessee.
Tennessee is huge,
you
though.
Could go.
Like Nashville's like still, I don't know, like a few hours away by plane, like, or by car.
Tennessee's
even like
that big.
Tennessee,
I don't even know
America's
U.S.
huge.
geography.
The U.S. is huge, so like it's not a place we like pop over to go. It's like a weekend trip destination for us. We're like pretty far out in the boonies, though.
Yeah, but, I have not seen that much of the U.S. I've seen all of Japan, but
I know, isn't that crazy? Same. I think I've traveled more like domestically here in Japan than in the U.S. too. But one day I would like to take a road trip, like all over. But it's a lot of gas. Like when you think about traveling in the U.S., it's like all that driving you have to do, and then that like stresses me out. I'm like, no, I got to be the passenger princess, and maybe I can go.
Yeah. Will we get more trains someday? I don't know.
There's a train that goes from San Francisco all the way across to like New York City or New York in the U.S. Did you know that?
I've heard about that, but I don't know anybody who's actually been on it. Isn't it really expensive? Probably, but I feel like if you factor in, I'm sure flying is like the cheapest way, right? But then flying, you just get from A to B. You don't see the middle, you don't right?
See the
stuff in between.
So it's like all the stuff you get to see in between. And I mean, if you think about like the money you spend on gas money or like staying in a motel to like rest and stuff, maybe it's a little worth it. I don't know. I didn't do the math or anything, but that's kind of been on my bucket list. Yeah.
Someday.
Yeah, because you can see like middle America too, which like not a lot of people go through. So it'd be nice.
Yeah, I'd like to see it someday.
Yeah.
So
okay, well back to the New Jersey Nashville doctor and doctor stories. Yeah.
Well, usually I just tell people, I grew up in New Jersey. Well, born in Philly, grew up in New Jersey, but I went to school in New York and lived in New York for several years. So I think most people know New York.
Yeah, that's where it like clicks for them, right? They're like, oh, okay. Yeah. They get excited.
That area.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, what we're going to cover today for the healthcare stuff. So we will do just a very brief overview of Japan's healthcare system. We're going to talk about company health checks a little bit.
Okay.
Then we have some stories from listeners, a couple Reddit stories, and then some other anecdotes.
Good and bad.
And it's going to be a mix of positive and negative stories.
Okay.
As usual, because, that's life.
I mean, and no one has like raving reviews about the doctor or the hospital in general, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's the same in the U.S. and I guess everywhere.
Yeah.
Some doctors are good, some doctors are bad. So I was kind of just Googling, like, what country has the best healthcare?
Okay. Oh, and?
Well, I mean, of course, the best anything is really subjective. But I looked at a few different lists, and every single list was different.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what...
Yeah, so what defines best, I guess?
So they're usually looking at stuff like accessibility, cost, quality, life expectancy, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Japan was on a few of those lists.
All right.
So I guess from a technical standpoint, it's affordable, it's accessible.
Yeah. I agree.
But personally, like, what do you think constitutes good healthcare?
Good healthcare?
Yeah.
I think mostly just because I'm poor, so affordability and I don't know, like what else was like that's all I'm thinking about. And like if they can, help me with my medical needs, like proper medical attention, and like care, then yes, that's kind of the only two boxes I would like to check,
Yeah.
How about you?
Yeah, I was thinking, of course, cost and accessibility, but also, if the doctor has some compassion and they're actually listening to the symptoms that you have and stuff. But yeah, it's always hit or miss anywhere, I feel. So
yeah, for sure.
Okay. So just a basic overview of the healthcare system.
So national health insurance is based on the previous year's income, and private insurance goes through your company.
Yeah, so it could be one of those two things.
And you pay them monthly.
Yep.
And for adults, you pay 30% out of pocket here in Japan. The elderly pay 10% out of pocket. And if someone over 75 is still making around 3 million yen per year, so roughly 19,000 USD, then they'll continue to pay the regular 30%. And this is something I didn't know, but pretty stoked to know. Kids are free until they're 18, which until I had like 18. No idea.
Yeah, I confirmed this. So one of my friends just gave birth to her third child.
Okay.
So I was like, she's got to know the answer to this.
I mean, she did 3 times. Yeah, she's experienced it. Yeah.
They're free until 18.
Free. So like any hospital care ever? Like what if?
Well, I think there are always going to be some things that are out of pocket like cosmetic.
Right,
things that are technically cosmetic.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it's not like zero every time, but it's like pretty much free.
Because I assume like, sure, like a regular doctor's visit or like, oh, they've got a cough or they're feeling kind of ill. Like you go to that doctor and like, sure, they're free. This is a very, very dark question, but like what if the child has like a chronic illness or an illness in terms of like cancer and things like that treatment, you know?
Yeah. I assume that would be covered. My friend who just gave birth recently, she said her son was in the NICU for a bit after he was born, and that was completely covered.
Wow.
And then also because of vouchers and stuff from City Hall, they actually ended up with more money than they started with.
Awesome. Then that's awesome. And that's like really good to know too, because I came to the understanding that like, so healthcare in Japan, I don't know if we're going to get into this, sorry, but like healthcare in Japan, of course, you know, it's really great in terms of cost, especially if you're coming from the US like we are. So a lot of things are covered. But one thing I was like really surprised to learn isn't covered is like birth, like giving birth.
Oh. Yeah. But with the... So you get money vouchers, from your city, right?
Yes.
Does that cover it?
It covers...
Mostly?
So it's kind of like... it's not covered by insurance, but there's ways to get the money back, if that makes sense. So like through your city, you have to apply for like all of those vouchers and stuff too. And so, yeah. Or some cities and wards, there's like coupon books that they give to you. So when you're pregnant here in Japan, you have to register your pregnancy to the city hall. Yeah. Very Japanese.
If you want to keep the baby.
To like, especially, sorry.
Yeah. And, well, no, because I had a friend who made a video about that before. She's like, come with me to register my pregnancy. And all the comments were like, that's so like dystopian. Like, what if you lost the baby? Yeah. If you're going to have the baby.
If you plan to have the baby. Yeah. And like this is something you do like, you know, when you kind of first found out, you don't even have to go to like the hospital yet even. I don't think so. Or maybe do you?
Do you need a doctor's note to register it? I don't know.
I can't.
I never thought about it.
I don't know. I will look into it. If maybe people are catching on, but
let us know.
Maybe people are catching on, but I will rack my brain for that one because I can't remember. But anyway, we'll move on. So yeah, like when you apply through like all of those vouchers and stuff like that, you do get the money back, but it's not like I think when you're, and correct me if I'm wrong, but like in the hospital, you turn in your insurance card and they're like, okay, it's like all covered, like goodbye. I think you do have to pay something up front and then you can get it like reimbursed or refunded or something like that. Okay. But there's a lot of like coupons you get for the hospital visits and everything too. So very, very affordable, if anything.
I think there's also additional costs too, like if you want a private room or stuff like that.
So hospitals here in Japan, they're very like, what do you even call that? Like it's so normal in the States to just your hospital room is your room. Like no one, you don't share it with anyone, right? They're usually...
You might have one roommate.
I see. Okay. Depends on your care in the hospital. But here... like some of them are like 4 people to a room, or you can
6.
do like 6, or if you've got like, this is usually a
giving
quote
birth
unquote
in the same
like
room.
like bougie, you can get your own room or like a special room or a private room. So those aren't covered by insurance. Obviously you're paying like the hospital for those costs, because that's like just a service the hospital provides. And then things like, what do you call it, like an epidural and stuff, that's not covered by insurance. You do pay that out of pocket.
Yeah.
And that's like Juman, so $1,000 or so. Yeah.
We do have a story for later that someone sent in about epidurals.
Okay. So. I'm excited to listen to that one. Okay. Anyway, that was my take.
Yeah. So just going along with our overview. So we're both from the US where healthcare is very expensive and the system can be really confusing because you have stuff like co-pays, you have deductibles, so you have to pay a certain amount out of pocket before your insurance even kicks in.
Oh, okay.
And then you have to find, because there are so many different insurance providers in the US, they're all privatized, so you have to find a doctor that is in your network that will take your specific insurance.
Ugh.
Do you remember that? Did you block out that memory?
If I knew, then I blocked it out or I forgot or I just had no idea. Because again, I'm going to sound like very maybe naive, but I moved to Japan like straight out of college when I was 21.
That's true. You didn't have to think about it too much.
I didn't think about it too much. And also like, what is it in the US? You can be covered under your parents' insurance until you're like 24? 26. And so I was like in that threshold anyway. So I like wasn't thinking about it. There was a period, I think I was under like Quest or like Obamacare, you know, but like again, a lot of these words I've heard before, but have like never done or like put into practice. You were talking about like copays and deductibles. I was like, I don't know. You know,
I know a little bit about that because when I was working in New York City, I was an administrative assistant at a law firm, and it was a small place, so they had us doing everything. So I did some accounting. I also did HR. So part of that was, you know, helping to choose insurance plans. And then anytime someone in the office had questions about health insurance, I had to figure it out.
Wow.
So I could give
like
them the answer.
Adult, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I forgot a lot of it, but I know a little bit.
Okay, good. Because I don't know like anything. Like I said, I just came here and my whole adult life has been covered under insurance.
Yeah.
Very,
so
very
in
lucky.
Japan, you pay monthly for the insurance. So if it is the national health insurance, it's based on the previous year's income, as we just mentioned. And then if you have it through your company, that's more of a, like it's a constant. It doesn't fluctuate. Like the amount is this like...
You ever have a dream when you have a dream and you what?
You know what I mean? Yeah. And there's no in or out of network because every doctor is going to take either one of those types of insurance.
Yeah. Right. So employment insurance versus national health insurance. Is that where you're going with? Okay.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, they're both good. So there's not really any limitations within that. Yeah. But there are some things that are out of pocket. Yeah. I just made a little list of things that I've gotten done that were out of pocket. So, one, a skin cancer screening.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I paid 30,000 yen, around $200 out of pocket for the skin cancer screening. I'm not really sure why that one's not covered.
Under insurance. I mean, right? Because it's sounds like preventative healthcare. But I guess maybe they're like, well, technically you don't need to. I mean, that's like what birth is too, like babies and stuff. Because they're like, well, it's technically not an illness. Which is like why it's not covered. Okay. So I see why if that's the reason. Yeah. Okay.
Getting a white filling at the dentist.
Oh yeah.
The silver ones are covered, but the white one is not.
Yeah, I've gotten like I chipped part of my tooth, so to what do you call like to build my tooth? What do you call it? Like, not a fake tooth, but just like replace the part I chipped. I think resin is covered under insurance, and then ceramic is not. So, because again, it's like a cosmetic thing. Yep. So, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't get my eye surgery here, but like LASIK and ICL and all that stuff, of course, it's not, well, I mean, maybe for some people it is medically necessary, but
like
for me, it was not.
Cataracts and stuff, right? Yeah.
For me, it was not a necessity, so that would have been out of pocket. And then also getting an IUD at the ladies' clinic. Yep. That was also not covered. Yeah. I don't think birth control
pills aren't as well because that's just not a thing they care about here, I guess. Yeah. Women are, gynecological care here is very, I would say, what's the word? Undervalued? I don't know. Like they're just not, it's not as up to date, like not as talked about as much as it is in the US, I feel like. Yeah.
And probably,
I don't know.
Europe too. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't
Sorry.
know how
Again, I only
sex
bring up
ed
the
is there.
US because
Yeah.
that's the only experience I have.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, those are just a few random things I thought of that were not covered. But okay, let's talk about health checks.
Okay.
Does your company do the yearly health checks?
Yeah. So if you're, an employee at a company, you get what is it even called? It's not called a health check. There's a kenko shindan. Word of the day. So kenko, health, and shindan is like a check or an exam inspection. So you get those at least once a year. And yeah, I got those every year, and they just check for like the basic stuff, right? Like your height, your weight, your vision. They'll do like a blood test for you, and
I think
your
hearing
ears,
too,
your hearing, and
maybe a urine test.
Oh yeah. Always has a
maybe
urine
a chest
test.
X-ray.
Yeah. That's right.
Sometimes they do that.
Yeah, it's all the basic stuff.
Yeah. And then they grade you A through F.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten one of those before?
No. So I've only ever worked for one company that did the health checks for us. And now I'm technically a freelancer. A company owner.
Yeah.
So it's up to us to
right.
go do our health checks.
It is not covered by anyone to go do that. So have you ever done a ningendokku, or are we going to get into that later?
No, you can explain that. I don't know what that is.
Okay, so a ningendokku, so ningen means human, and then dokku, I don't know, like a doctor. I don't know, to be honest, but this is for something that goes beyond that basic health check that we're talking about now. So if you want to check out things other than the standard, like than what that health check looks for, or if you are like a freelancer or business owner like Frankie, where you don't get those company checks, you can pay for a ningendokku. But the reason, sorry, I didn't mention, they're very expensive. So things like the health check through your company, it's free because it's provided by your company. Versus if you're going to a ningendokku, this is kind of like for your own personal checkup and free, peace of mind. So they're very expensive. And just depending on what you get done, I've looked into it, and they can range from maybe like $300, so like 3만 to like juman or sanjuman, like $1,000 to $3,000. Again, really, really depends what you do, but they go into everything, like every kind of blood work you can get done, every kind of MRIs and stuff, like every single thing you want to check for, that is like what you can do at a ningendokku. So I've never taken one myself, but I think it's a good, alternative for people who really want to just check everything. Yeah. And of course, you don't have to do it like all the time, but I think it's a good investment if it's like a once a year, like once every 2 years kind of thing to really check.
Maybe and not even that often.
Not even that, if you're, especially not for the ones that are like juman, like $1,000, but the goman one or something. Yeah, that's what a ningendokku is. So sorry, that was my question. Yeah.
So when I did the company health check before, it was during COVID. I think maybe like May or June 2020 or something. Yeah. So it was not as extensive as the normal one would be. And they didn't grade me. I was looking forward to that.
Oh, you wanted a grade? You're like that kid in the class. Yeah. Like, what's my grade? Yeah. It's not fun to be graded on things like your weight and like that. So for me, when I was doing it a lot, and I know standards around the world are probably different, but like for me in Japan, and I think for a lot of foreigners especially, like my BMI was always like super high, and like my grade for my weight and everything was like obese to mildly obese. And I was like, okay. So I always would get comments from doctors like, oh, you're like overweight. And I know I'm not. So yeah, that or a lot of my maybe this was just me being a young hooligan at the time, but I would like drink more back in the day than I do now. And you, like we said, you have to take a urine test. And so a lot of the times it was like, your kidneys are kind of like, I would get like B's or whatever on like my kidney test, because they were like, okay, you like clearly like drink a lot. And I was like, well, yeah.
Yeah.
But
it seems like they focus a lot on the BMI here. Yeah. So I just wanted to make note of why BMI is not accurate.
Okay, yeah. So BMI, or body mass index, is not considered accurate because it only takes into account a person's height and weight, falling to failing to differentiate between muscle mass and fat, meaning a very muscular person could appear overweight on a BMI chart, even if they have a low body fat percentage. It also does not consider factors like age, gender, ethnicity, and body fat distribution, which can significantly impact health risks associated with weight. So thank you, Google AI, for teaching us that.
Yeah, just wanted to mention that.
Of course, yeah.
Because, as you said, it's not nice to be told you're overweight when you know that you're not.
When you know you're not, but also it's just like, I don't know, you can be heavier but still healthy, you know? Like,
exactly, yeah.
Like,
so
I don't know. I think a big image here is still like skinny equals health. Like,
yes.
You know, and so it's not something to, I guess, lurk on or worry about too much if you are new to Japan and you get a health check that says that.
Don't take it to heart.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the downsides of these company health checks, though, is that your company gets the results.
Yep.
So potentially, you know, if you have a bad grade on your health check, it could mean that you don't get like a promotion or something.
Ooh.
Because they're like, oh, we don't want to give it to this unhealthy person.
Oh, or like this person who has like a disease or something.
It's a potential downside of
what?
that.
Okay. I didn't know that. That's
healthcare is very private.
Is that allowed? Like, I mean, it must be if they're doing that, I guess. But like, that just sounds super illegal.
I think it's technically legal here, but questionable.
Yeah, it just sounds like one of those things. Okay.
Yeah.
Gnarly.
I've also heard that when you turn 30, you can get one of those. What did you say? Ningendokku?
Ningendokku, yeah.
Yeah. I thought you were supposed to just get like an invitation in the mail to get it. I never got anything like that. Did you?
No. And if I did, I probably just saw it and threw it away. I don't know. Like, sometimes, like, you get a lot of things in the mail here in Japan, like, from City Hall and stuff once in a while. And, like, unless I owe money or it's something that I, like, really need to do, I just toss them away. So maybe I did, but I don't believe so. That's, like, a requirement of Japan? Or is it just like hey, you're 30 now, you're old, like, go get a health checkup?
No, I've just seen some YouTubers post about it. So I was like, ooh, when I turn 30, I can get this exam too. But I never got any notice about it.
Are they all living in Tokyo? It could be, like, based on area, too, I think. And, like, because some wards or some cities, prefectures, like, have more money or more things than others. It could be a regional thing. I don't know.
Interesting. But I do get something every year from City Hall about getting a uterine cancer screening.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And they tell me which doctors are in network.
Yeah.
Or not in network, but, like, they're suggested ones locally.
Yeah, same. I do remember getting those, too, yeah.
Okay. So shall we get into some of the stories?
Okay. That's like a very like hesitant grin I see you doing.
No, some of them are good.
Okay.
So we got a few stories about affordable surgeries.
Oh, okay.
Not like plastic surgery, just, you know, normal healthcare stuff. Because, you know, if you have to get surgery in the U.S., you're going to be bankrupt, basically.
Yeah. So terrified.
Okay, so somebody said, I got back surgery here last summer and have only good things to say about my experience, especially because a friend in the U.S. had the same surgery and it cost her $90,000 and I paid less than $4,000 here.
Jeez! And is that 90,000 like because she was uninsured or like did you, like what was the...
It was probably that before insurance, I imagine.
What did she pay after insurance, do you know? I mean, still, that's insane, but okay.
Yeah, but a lot of times with the hospital bills in the U.S., you kind of have to negotiate it down.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all. What do you mean?
That's crazy. Why do you have to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Another story
There's another one.
Is they got broken collarbone surgery. And they stayed in the hospital from Monday to Friday. 3,800 euros, or roughly 604,000 yen, or 4,000 USD. The worst part was finding a hospital which can do the surgery. Most appointments would have been 2 weeks after the accident, but my husband was in severe pain, and the complicated breakage was very loose. Also, they don't really have ERs on the weekend, so we drove to 5 hospitals in total, 3 of them on the weekend, 2 of them closed on Saturdays by 6 p.m. Honestly, don't get sick on the weekend in Japan. Yeah, I feel that for sure.
Yeah, that always kind of blows my mind.
How hospitals have like business hours.
Yeah, like on weekends and holidays.
Yeah.
If you get sick, you're going to have to be going to several different places to find one that will take you in.
Especially if they're big like university hospitals and stuff, like general hospitals. Yeah.
Have you ever had like an emergency on a weekend or holiday?
I did actually. And so I was at work and something was kind of like going on to where I was like, uh-oh, like what should I do? And by the time I was like able to go or like wanted to thought about going in, it was after 5 p.m. and I like looked at my hospital's hours and they were closed. But this was kind of like a special clinic I was going to. So they do have like night hours. Like special night emergency hours. So I did go there at night. But they charge you like gosen, like 5,000 yen for the like night fee, basically. That is like uninsured because it's kind of like an emergency fee, essentially. This isn't for like main general hospitals, by the way. This is like a specialist clinic I like needed to go to. But anyway, yeah. Okay. So just like the stress of like feeling ill and then like looking up to see when the hospital is open is like so silly. But yeah, that same clinic, they're closed on Thursdays and Sundays for me too. So like like it's just weird that they have hours like that as well. Yeah.
If you're gonna go to the doctor here in Japan, take note that most places are closed on Thursdays.
Yeah.
I mean, some are open, but as a general rule,
why Thursdays?
A lot of places are closed on Thursday.
I wonder, do you like, is that because it's a lot of them that are closed on Thursday, so I'm kind of like, why Thursday?
I don't know. Because usually the hours are like, normal hours for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Saturday will be like a half day.
Yeah.
And then Thursday and Sunday are closed. But I always think like, that must be really annoying to be a healthcare worker because you don't have 2 consecutive days off.
Yeah.
Wait, you're not a healthcare worker, but neither do you.
Neither do I. So my days off are Wednesdays and Sundays. So I mean, I do miss having consecutive days off, but it's kind of like nice to have a break within the week too. I don't know. Okay. It's like they both have their ups and downs, but
you can't really travel.
Yeah, that's the big thing. So I do miss that, but it's not like I have a life anyway, so I'm fine.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Someone else said, my doctor gave me a cancer diagnosis with the straightest face, which was a little bit mean. But I also paid in total less than 200 USD for 11 appointments, so I can't complain that much. They also said their final treatment was yesterday, so
yay! Congrats! This next one said, someone else said that they were diagnosed with lupus and Hashimoto's back in their home country, but luckily are able to get the same treatment here in Japan. Yeah, Woo! That's good. Yeah. Very surprised, and that's good, because this isn't Hashimoto's, but like, other thyroid issues. Yeah. A lot of people who like have thyroid issues back in their home country and they try to get tested for it here in Japan, they're just met with a lot of like, you're fine, nothing's wrong with you kind of results. And
I personally am going through thyroid issues right now, and it's been almost a year of going to different doctors and they're all doing the same basic blood work, and they're like, no, you're fine. But finally, I did find someone who referred me to a specialist. So, actually, next week, I have an ultrasound and a biopsy scheduled. So.
Okay. Well, let me know how it goes, because same, my grandma, my uncle, and my mom, so all of my mom's side, we, like, hypothyroidism runs in our family. And so a lot of those symptoms are like, weight gain and like hair loss and all of that stuff. And I've like been in Japan, and I went through a period where my hair was just like falling out. Could have been stress related, I guess we'll never know, but I went to a thyroid specialist in Tokyo, and I was like, hey, my hair falls out in chunks, like this runs in my family, please test me. And they were like, you're fine, you're normal. So who knows, maybe I am, but still it's kind of like I didn't really feel like a big peace of mind. Yeah.
But a lot of times the blood work is normal. Like you could still have hyperthyroidism, hypothyroidism, or even Hashimoto's thyroiditis, or even thyroid cancer, and the blood work be normal. Yep. So
I don't know. Yeah. But they did like, is that an ultrasound too? They scanned my throat and stuff. So I guess maybe I was fine. But okay. Anyway,
could you read this one as well?
Sure. Someone said it took 6 years in total to get POTS. Okay. POTS. And orthostatic hypotension diagnosis. Both are different types of autonomic disorders. 6 years?
Yeah. It was the same things that we just talked about. They're like, your blood work is normal. It's no problem.
6 years is a long time, though. I mean, like, a lot can happen within that. Like, so much can be prevented, I mean, in that time, too. Yeah. If you caught it earlier.
Exactly.
But, okay. At least you had a diagnosis, though.
Yeah. Maybe it's getting under control now.
Hope so.
Yes. Okay, now we have a little birth story.
Ooh.
Okay, so they said, so I knew I wanted an epidural, just always had decided that personally, but in Japan there aren't enough anesthesiologists to have around the clock, so you must reserve your spot at the hospital ASAP, like as soon as you confirm your pregnancy, and insurance does not cover the cost. And in order to get an epidural, you must be induced, hence the reservation. I didn't know what goes into being induced. I thought it's just a pill or something that starts contractions. It was the worst 36-hour experience of my life, which ended in an emergency C-section. So at the end of day 3 of various painful procedures to start the induction, I got my epidural in the late afternoon because I was progressing in dilation. The anesthesiologist went home at 5 p.m. when the epidural wore off, and I had the worst medically induced contractions that I wanted to. The anesthesiologist literally said, see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. and I'll give you more of the epidural then. Yeah, so in the end, they needed the emergency C-section, and the anesthesiologist did come back to help with that.
Oh my God. But still, he's like, it's 5. I'm clocking out. Like, see ya. Well, that is terrifying. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Do you know, like, where this person was based? Like,
I mean, Tokyo.
Okay. Well, that's scary. I was like, maybe it's like an Inaka hospital. Maybe they're like out in the boonies and they only had that one anesthesiologist. But even in Tokyo, that's like nuts. Okay.
That, I wonder, because we talked before about how, some necessary jobs are in nursing care, so they're even hiring foreign workers for nursing care. So I wonder if they would hire foreign anesthesiologists.
I mean, they should at that point. I mean, I know anesthesiologist is like a really hard job, so I understand why there's, I don't know.
Should I go back to school for this?
Yeah, like so little of them, but still, like that sucks to get an emergency C-section when that was like not your birth plan at all.
Yeah.
Like that's because that's very like invasive, and I don't know how it is these days with like scars and everything, but like, if it could have been prevented, then that sucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're all good now.
Okay, good.
They have a baby.
Yay!
So, congrats.
Okay, this next story says, last spring, I got a bite on my ankle by an insect. Don't know which, but my skin became super hard and hot around. Then a few days after it hurt when I was walking, so I went to a clinic. Both ladies redirected me to a dermatologist clinic, and the guy at the reception of this dermatologist clinic, when I showed him my message translated on my phone about the issue I had, he just replied to me, if you don't know Japanese, then we can't do anything about you. He told me to go see some other clinics, and I asked, if they don't accept me like you just did, what do I do? And he just didn't care at all. They're fine now.
Yeah, that was the update to the story. They're fine.
Oh, okay, they're fine. Sorry. It was in the same sentence or in the same line. I'm sorry. They're fine now. Yeah. I see.
You can't really deny people medical care if they don't
speak Japanese. Didn't that just...
Haven't we heard a story like that before?
Oh, that's exactly what I was like trying to get at.
The Reddit story. And this person even spoke Japanese pretty fluently. And they were just like, you're a foreigner? Like no, you're not welcome at this clinic.
Yeah. And then, but they like called a lot of like, they reported them, right? And stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But nothing ever came of it. They're just like,
not.
You can just go to another clinic. It's fine.
That is so nuts.
I don't know if you have seen this TikTok video, but somebody was talking about a very forceful IUD removal that they had.
No.
I'll link it.
Okay.
But I think basically, she went to the clinic to get it removed, or she was getting a new one or something. But yeah, just a bunch of different doctors came in to talk to her, and they didn't all introduce themselves. Like the one who took it out didn't say anything to her. They were just like, Mah!
Oh no.
And took it out, and it was really painful. So she was trying to, file a formal complaint with them.
Yeah.
So I'll link their TikTok if you want to see if there's any updates or anything about that.
That's pretty recent? Like they just uploaded that?
Yeah.
That's terrifying. I mean, I've never gotten an IUD or anything before, so I can only imagine like how, painful and invasive it feels. And so like to have all these people just come in and be like, yoink, without introducing themselves. Like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. It depends on the person, because for some people, the insertion is not that bad. For me, the insertion was absolutely horrible, and then the removal was like nothing.
Oh, okay. So I guess it just depends on the person, too.
Depends on the person.
I see.
Okay. We got a couple Reddit stories.
Yay!
Could you read this one?
Sure. So The title is Dismissive Doctors in Tokyo. I know that everyone has likely experienced this and complained about it, but it's frustrating to go to a medical professional for help and advice, only for them to be dismissive when you ask logical questions. I just went to a doctor to check up on a condition which hasn't gotten better since my last visit. I came in, he did 0 tests, and just decided to prescribe me 4 different medications. Had I not persistently pressed him to tell me what he think is happening, I would have left without knowing anything. Towards the end, he got frustrated and said, "This is a medical prescription," and clearly wanted me to leave. I was in there a total of 5 minutes. Tired of this attitude like there's some sort of medical god. There are worse mechanics and better mechanics, worse accountants and better accountants, and it's exactly the same for doctors. Just because you're a doctor doesn't make you great at your job, and there's no need to act like you're a medical god to us poor peasants. I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the good thing is that you can at least shop around for doctors.
I guess so.
You're not like stuck with that one.
Yeah.
Because they're in your network or something.
Yeah. And to kind of like go back how they were like prescribed 4 different medications. That's like another like really common thing here is like you'll get so much medicine, like, you know, like pills and stuff.
It's just like a Band-Aid. They're not really trying to address what the problem is. They're just like, take this medicine and you'll take this, get out of here.
But it's like, and you'll get so many different kinds, and it's like, here's like a pill for your headache, but a side effect of taking this pill is stomach ache. So here's like a pill to like stop those stomach aches. Yeah. But then a side effect of that is like maybe diarrhea. So here's like a anti-diarrhea pill. Like you'll get like 4 different things to like help with the other. Yeah. It's quite silly. But anyway, any comments?
Yeah, just the top comment I thought was interesting. They said, I was diagnosed at a Japanese clinic with a lifelong incurable medical condition. At first, I had to visit the clinic monthly to get my medication adjusted. On maybe the 2nd or 3rd visit, my doctor got annoyed with me. On maybe the 2nd or 3rd visit, my doctor got annoyed with my questions and exclaimed, "If you were Japanese, you wouldn't be asking so many questions." This was not in Tokyo. I would have changed doctors, but his is the only clinic in my town that can treat my condition.
Oh my God. That right there. If you were Japanese, you wouldn't be asking so many questions. I mean, I totally know what he means. Not in his defense. I just like understand what he means, which is like not a good thing, you know, because sure, maybe a lot of Japanese people are just accepting of like whatever diagnosis they receive. And I can assume compared to foreigners, a lot of them don't like really advocate for themselves as much. Not all, but sounds like in this dude's experience, a lot don't advocate themselves enough to like to where the doctors feel like, you know, bothered to explain stuff. And so
yeah.
Oh gosh.
I'm the type to ask questions. I want to know what's going on.
I want to know what's going on too, especially like, you know, it's you know your body the best, you know, and it's not wise to ignore things that you are kind of scared of happening, you know? So that is such a foul comment. Like, I don't know. Okay. Gross.
Then just a general tip that I had. So if you feel like the doctors at the clinics you're going to are not taking you seriously, you could also try a medical university. Sometimes. It's not a guarantee that they'll be any better, but sometimes it's good. Yeah. Unfortunately, you just kind of have to shop around or keep going to different ones until you find a good match for you. Yeah, shopping around, and also, like, I know this isn't available to everyone, so I can't say it with, like, you know, a lot of conviction, but it always does help too, especially if like maybe you're kind of newer to Japan or you're not comfortable speaking Japanese in a medical setting, to bring a Japanese person that you trust and you know will advocate for you. Sometimes that is, like, unfortunately, in cases like this, that is what it takes. Like, you can, even if you do speak enough Japanese to explain your own symptoms, it's almost like if there's no Japanese person there with you, they're not going to take you seriously. And this isn't all doctors. This is just, like, also from my personal experience. But I went to a doctor because what happened to me at the time? I got an injury from playing volleyball. So the end diagnosis was I tore my meniscus. And that's like a big knee injury. And so the first time I went by myself, all I could say, because again, I was in so much pain, was like, my knee hurts. Like, please help me. And then they kind of just sent me on my way back home. And by the second time, because I was in so much pain, I brought like a close friend, a Japanese friend. And her personality too, she's just very like, no, you listen to me, sir, you know? And so she was really
helpful in like helping me get like the things I needed, like an x-ray and like crutches and a cast on my leg, you know, like things I needed to treat that. So it does, another tip is to just, if you can, bring someone with you too.
Yeah. Yeah, that too. We have another Reddit story.
Okay.
So this one was kind of funny because it started off normal.
Oh, okay. Ooh, I love this.
Goes.
Am I going to read it?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this post is 6 years old, titled "Thanks Japan for Civilized Healthcare." Okay, good start so far. This post is more for the American crowd, but I just wanted to say something nice about Japan. As a long-timer, I find myself complaining too much. Hell, maybe this will provide some fodder for the JCJ.
I'll explain what that is later.
Thank you. Today, my son, while walking to school, fell down, still not clear how, and hit his head. There was a lot of blood, so an adult nearby who saw the circus called the ambulance. They took him to the hospital, checked him out, and performed a CT scan. Hesitantly, and maybe irrationally, I asked my wife how that was going to set us back, thinking we just spent a couple mans, like a couple $100.
Yeah.
200 yen in total. So my son is okay. It was just a bump with a surface scratch that looked worse than it was. I'm glad someone played it safe and called the ambulance. For the JCJ crowd, I didn't come here for anime, but I do have a bit of yellow fever. Okay. You started off so good, and then everything just like went downhill from there. I feel like I gagged when I read that out loud. Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't give you a trigger warning.
No, not at all. Dang. I was like, I got like whiplash a little bit.
Why did you have to add that detail?
I know, like, was that necessary? Okay, sorry. That's just his first bullet point, by the way. I'm still going to continue. Okay, next. Relative to my years in Japan, my Japanese is not up to your standard. My kids speak English, and not an English teacher, but an engineer. Okay.
Yeah, so JCJ, I think that is Japan Circle Jerk, which was a subreddit
I see.
that has since been banned.
Okay.
I think for like incel behavior.
Yeah, good. I hope so. I mean, if you're addressing this JCJ crowd and then you just openly confess, like, I've got like yellow fever.
A little bit of yellow fever.
Okay, yeah. JCJ, that's funny. Gross, but funny. All right. Well, I'm glad your child is okay. I know this post is a little old, but still.
See, it started off so nice.
It started off so normal, and then it's just like, you know, like, sometimes we don't need to say everything out loud. Like, sometimes we can keep thoughts in our head. And I know that sounds silly to, like, hear from people who have mics and a podcast, but like that's probably all people think about every hour they hear us for a week. But still, some things we can keep to ourselves. Okay.
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 So I have a few of my own stories.
Okay.
If you want to hear.
Yeah, I'll blind react.
Okay, so the first one is about the dermatologist and how much of a struggle it is to find someone to do a skin cancer screening. So I think last summer I went to a doctor. I mean, it's been years of me trying to find different dermatologists that will do this. So I usually just ask, like, hey, by the way, do you do this? And they usually say no. So last year, I went to a different doctor to do an allergy test, but they also have a dermatologist in there. So I asked the reception, like, hey, by the way, you have a dermatologist here.
Yeah.
Do they do skin cancer screenings? Yeah. And then she was like, let me go in the back and ask the doctor real quick. So it was kind of like a back and forth of me asking her questions and her asking the doctor. And there was a bit of... So at first I asked, did they do it? And then she was like, so you think you have skin cancer? And I was like, no, like a preventative, just an exam to see what's going on. And I think a lot of people remove their moles here for cosmetic reasons.
Okay. Not for like preventative
like
skincare reasons. Yeah.
You have beautiful freckles. But
me?
Yeah.
Do I have freckles? Like on my nose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're really cute.
I grew up in the sun. Thank you.
I like freckles too.
Yeah. I don't mind them. I like freckles. Especially now, tangent, in the West, like people like draw fake freckles and stuff. So
yeah, they're very cute.
Yeah, it's very, very cute. I love freckles. Okay.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people here don't like freckles, or at least not on their own face. I don't know. That's just like, an assumption. I don't know.
I would say like, kind of some don't, but then some I know, like, because you can get like, makeup tattoos and stuff here, like, like tattoo, like lip, what do you call it? Lip blush and whatever. And I know some people who've gotten tattoos of hokuro, like a beauty mark.
In Japan?
In Japan.
Oh.
Yeah, like
Okay.
Like
and ignore what I just said.
Strategically placed. Not like a lot of freckles, like sun freckles. Like I'm just talking about like a one distinct beauty mark and whatever. Yeah. So that it's like a thing here to do that too. So it's a little, depends, back and forth.
Well, that's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then they were like, okay, do you have a mole you want to remove? And I was like, no, I just want to see if he'll look.
Yeah.
Just take a look.
Yeah.
And they were like,
why?
We cannot remove every mole on your body. And I was like, oh my God, no. I don't want that.
Yeah.
There would be so many. I don't know how much skin I would have left if you did.
You just go out and you're like in your flesh. Like, okay.
The flesh just hanging off my bones.
What?
Yeah. So in the end, no, they didn't do
Yeah.
the screening.
Okay.
Usually doctors, they will check maybe 2 or 3 at a time, but that requires you to do your own self-examination at home and be prepared with ones you think look weird.
Okay.
But I did find somewhere in Tokyo that does it. Good. So while I was in Tokyo on a business trip, I stayed an extra day so I could go to the skin clinic there. This doctor is bilingual and it's not covered by insurance. It was 30,000 yen. Around $200. Yeah, you can message me if you want to know what clinic it was. I don't want to like dox them on the podcast, but I'm happy to tell people individually where it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder, that's such a like good example of how I guess infrequent or whatever you want to call it, like preventative care here is. Like they're very much like, well, why do you want to check it? Nothing's wrong with you now. Like, that's like a common response I've gotten a lot at the doctor as well. And I wonder if if it's kind of like still a foreign concept to them. Because like, think about it as like, from like a, what do you call it? Like a genetic standpoint or, you know, like ethnicity, right? Because like, I feel like skin cancer is such a big deal in Western countries because like maybe a majority is like white people and like who are very easily like subjected to, you know, like skin cancer and stuff. And in Japan, they're very like, the most preventative care I see them do is like against the sun, right? Covering up and like and stuff like that. So I feel like when you want to check moles and stuff, it's like so late in the process for them. They're like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. I think not in this doctor's defense or anything, but like if I'm thinking about it on like a large scale, like why is it so uncommon? I'm like, maybe that's what it is.
That is definitely one reason. Yeah. I asked a doctor before why they don't do it, and they were like, well, not as many people have skin cancer in Japan. So. Yeah.
Which is like, I don't believe because I tanning salons are huge here, and then you have all the like oji-sans and salary men who do like tanning salons hardcore or like golf hardcore, and they look like leather. They look like that one episode of SpongeBob where you needed it to be like a certain like scale. Like they had like a certain like tanning scale. You never like watched this? Okay, I'm so sorry. So like it's like to get into this certain club, you needed to be like this certain level of tan. And so there was like the bottom of the scale was like white, like pasty white or whatever. And then they go to like the tanning salon so they can get in. And like the top tier like level was leather. And it was just everyone like all leathered out because they like, just got too much sun exposure. So that's... Anyway, there's a lot of people who like are on that side of the scale, and so I'm like surprised if they don't get skin cancer still, like kudos. I'm not like wishing that upon them, but you would think there's enough people who like tan here to like check for that, but
I don't know. Hopefully in the future more doctors will do it. Yeah. I also feel like they don't want to do it because it's time consuming. I think mine was at least an hour to do that. So usually it depends on the doctor. Some of them take walk-ins and some of them take appointments. But it's pretty easy to find a dermatologist that does walk-ins. Yeah. So, the waiting room is going to be pretty full. So they don't really have an hour to spend with you. I think that's another reason.
They can only get so much done in those 9 to 5 business hours that they're doing. And then they got to clock out like the anesthesiologist. So.
True.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Another personal story I had was, so you know how sometimes in the public restroom, there's no soap?
Yep.
So I went to a ladies' clinic in Kyoto because I knew that they took walk-ins. Yeah. My usual place in Osaka, they're pretty busy, so you usually have to reserve about a month in advance. Oh. Like they do take emergency appointments, but their office is crazy busy. So I went to this place in Kyoto because a friend went there before, so I was like, all right. Just do that. Yeah. So they needed to take a urine sample. Okay. So I go to the restroom to do my business. Yeah. And usually in the doctor's office, there's a window.
Oh, to like put your little pee cup?
Yeah, you put your cup in there. Yeah. But there was no window. Oh. And there was no soap in the restroom either.
Okay.
So I had to hold my pee cup and walk through the office and handed my pee cup to both the doctor and the nurse. Touched my pee cup with no gloves.
Oh yeah, the way they just like don't use gloves here is kind of gnarly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was my story. Yeah.
Oh man.
Do you have any more before we get into a sad one?
A sad one? Mine, it's not a horror story, but it's not like a silly, lighthearted one either. But one of my things I'll never forget was going to a women's clinic, like a gynecologist here in Japan when I first arrived, because I was still taking birth control, like pills here. And so I wanted to like refill that. And I didn't know, this was also 8 years ago. So I'm sure a lot has changed since then, but I was like up in the boondocks, Inaka of Chiba. So going to a clinic that was close and available to me, I went. Of course, the doctor is like this really, really, really old dude, not against dudes who are in that profession, but like he just looked like... Yeah. Yeah, that's another like discussion. But anyway, he was like to the point where if you just went whew, and like blew air on him, he'd like fly away. Like he looked like he was going to crumple to dust and like, I don't know, with a snap of a finger or something. But anyway, so I go there and I'm like, hello, I would like some birth control pills and a checkup, like a pap smear and just a checkup. And they're like, why do you want a pap smear? And I'm like, because it's been a year or two for me probably, and I need to just check. They're like, what do you want to check? And I'm like, whatever you check for in a pap smear, like check everything. Like, and they're like, okay. And then they do the check, and then we're talking about like getting the pill, and he's like, okay, like why you came here for some birth control pills? Like, why do you want some birth control pills? I'm like, to control birth, like to not have a baby now. And
who's asking all these questions now? I thought it was
yeah, right. And then so he's just like, okay. And then they ask, like typical doctor stuff, like when was your like last menstrual cycle, and like are you sexually active, and blah 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 blah. And then so I'm like answering their questions, and they're like, okay, so do you have a partner? Like, are you married? And I'm like, no. They're like, so why do you want to be on the pill? Like, why do you want to have this like pill if you don't even have a boyfriend? Like, just assuming like boyfriend or husband equals you are having sex, therefore you need the birth control pill. They're kind of like, why do you want to just be on this pill if you've got like no man in your life, basically? And I was like, no, I want the pill because I have like, like no steady partner, and also I've been on it, like partner or not, for a long time when I was back in Hawaii. So it's kind of just like, yeah, really like weird, invasive questions like that of like very much like, why, what do you mean you're not a virgin? You're not married. It was like the vibe I got from this like old dude. And so it was just very like uncomfortable at the time. And I never went back there. And actually, I think because I was like, F this, was like I got the refill at the time. And then, in Japan, you only get them. Is it different now? But you get them only like 1 month at a time or like 3 months at a time. The pill. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they give you that much at once. You got to keep going back.
You got to keep going back. And like, so because of that too, I was like, oh, well, it's not worth it. I never want to like come back to this place ever again. And so, I just like, I've not been on the pill since then. But anyway, that's kind of my like interesting story that I have so far. Thankfully, I haven't had to be at like the doctor enough times where I've had to like encounter silly things like Frankie or these people on Reddit have. But we'll see. My time is coming.
But I feel like if you were married at the time, they would have been like, "You're married. Why do you want to
exactly
birth?
Like you
should be popping them out."
It sounded like a lose-lose conversation, like a lose-lose situation at that clinic with this again old crusty like crypt keeper. Like I don't know.
Okay. So the next story, this is someone named Lily who's from Sweden. Okay. So I'm sharing stuff that is public knowledge because she has posted about her journey with medical malpractice here. So I'm going to do my best to summarize this very complicated situation and tragic string of events. So basically, after getting a vaccine, she had tingling in her hands. So she went to a clinic, and the doctor there thought maybe she had something called Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is a rare condition that affects the nerves. One way to diagnose that is with a lumbar puncture, a spinal tap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she was pressured into doing the puncture because the doctor was telling her, like, could be causing nerve damage. You could wake up tomorrow and not be able to walk. We need to do this and check it out.
Yeah.
Turns out she didn't have that.
Yeah.
But it was a botched procedure. And then after that, she was leaking spinal fluid.
Oh my
So
God.
she went to another place to get something called a blood patch.
Yeah.
I had to look up what that is because I imagined it was like a Band-Aid. But no.
Blood patch. Yeah, okay.
They take blood from, I don't know, your arm or something and then put it into the affected area.
Okay.
But that procedure also went wrong. And she developed something called adhesive arachnoiditis, which is basically your spinal nerves sticking together.
Ooh.
So she was at high risk for complications from those two things, but they didn't warn her about it. And then after, like, the doctors were not willing to help her. So she was, I think it was for like 2 years in constant excruciating pain.
Yeah.
Could not stand up, could not sit up, could not lay flat on her back. The only, not even comfortable, but the most tolerable position was laying on her side. So for almost 2 years, she's bedridden, laying on her side. So she needed surgery to close the leak or leaks because there could have been multiple, and stem cell treatment to repair the damage. But again, no doctor here would look at her or do anything because it was already like such a, I mean, it's a risky procedure. So she did find 2 doctors. One was in the US and one was in Switzerland who would be able to do this type of surgery to close the leaks. But of course, you know, doing that kind of surgery and the travel.
Expensive.
Because it's not like you can just get that surgery and then hop on a plane and go back to life as normal. You need to heal. So all of that would have cost like $50,000 to $80,000.
Sheesh, yeah.
So through crowdfunding, fundraisers, and all this stuff, like she was able to go to Switzerland to get that procedure done.
Okay.
I don't think that she is completely healed. There's going to be lifelong side effects.
Yeah.
And she's probably going to have chronic pain for the rest of her life. Yeah. But at least it's better than it was. She can, like, she's been posting stuff about, like, oh, I could, like, take a walk today, or, like, I went to get my hair done. So much better than it was. But still, like, Jesus.
Yeah, that's so messed up. Like, something that just started as, like, a not a minor concern, but a concern just developed into something so long-term, like lifelong, you know, she'll never be the same, I guess.
Yeah. And I remember, like, when because she did post stuff about, you know, what she was going through, and then also had a GoFundMe to raise money for the surgery. And some people were so nasty. Like, you're faking it. You're just trying to get attention.
No.
People are so cruel.
They're so awful. Yeah.
Yeah. So you might be wondering, can she sue the doctors?
That's my question.
I guess maybe technically, but it's extremely difficult, extremely expensive. And, you know, the defamation laws here are really strict. So she can't even share what that clinic was, which is unfortunate because who would want to go there after what happened to her?
Oh, my God.
Yeah. I don't think there's any ongoing fundraisers right now at the time that we're recording this. But if anything changes, I mean, hopefully seems like she's doing better. So,
Good. Well, I hope she is, yeah. Oh, man.
It's crazy.
So she's still in Japan?
Yes.
Then? Okay.
Yeah. Also, I have a friend of a friend who was diagnosed with a very rare neurological disorder. I can't remember what it was called, but apparently only 1,000 people in the world have it.
Damn, okay.
So he ended up having to leave Japan because the medicine was really expensive here. I guess because it's such a rare thing. So rare,
yeah.
Yeah, it would have been thousands of dollars per month. So he ended up going back home to the UK because they would cover the treatment, and also his family's there. So
medical care in the UK is free, right? Like totally free?
Yes. Yeah. And then I also think they have the option to go to private care as well, but it's very expensive. So most people just do the NHS.
Okay.
If you're British, can you confirm that?
Yeah, sorry, I don't know anything about that. Yeah.
And then also, I know I ask you about her all the time, Charla, YouTuber.
Yes.
She is Canadian, but she ended up going to the US for thyroid tumor removal.
Oof, okay.
Because the doctors in Japan wouldn't do that surgery on her.
Does she talk about why they wouldn't do it, or did they just give her like a bullshit reason?
I get maybe it was risky or something, but I'll link her video where she talks about that in detail. But yeah, I mean, even if you are an American under U.S. health insurance, it's still expensive. So I can't imagine how much her surgery cost.
Especially because like Canada too, right? Canadians confirm. Is healthcare free for them too, or very affordable?
I think it is. Let us know,
and then
Canadian
listeners. As a Canadian to go to the U.S. for a procedure that, I mean, I'm going to assume that wasn't her first choice, right? Like, so it must have just took a lot of, energy and money to do that. So that is so gnarly.
Yeah. But it seems like she's doing okay now, too. Okay. So, yay.
Good.
And another positive story.
Yay.
So there's a family vlogging channel called Bilingual Baby.
From Japan?
The wife is American. Named Aisha, and her husband is Japanese. Okay. But she was diagnosed with breast cancer in Japan.
Oh, okay.
So after going through treatment, the doctor told her that she was kanchi. Complete recovery.
Oh, yay! Yeah. Congrats.
And they told her there was a chance that she wouldn't be able to have kids after the treatment that she got, but they have 2 kids now. So yay!
Congrats.
Yeah, I'll link their channel too.
Good. Yeah, so we say that to say it's not all horror stories and it's not all scary to go to the doctor and stuff. There are good medical professionals and good healthcare here too, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, out of all these stories, no one was complaining about how expensive it is, right?
True. I guess so, right? Yeah, I still get the internalized American fear of like going to the hospital, even if it you know, kind of just like sticking it out because I'm like, it's going to be expensive. And then when I finally go, it's like, your bill is 300 yen, like $2 or something. And so I got to like get over that. Even after 8 years, I still kind of feel that all the time.
Yeah. Okay. To end it on kind of a silly note. So I found this news article from 10 years ago.
Okay. How long was 10 years ago? 2015 was 10 years ago.
Well, this is from November 2014, so a little bit over 10 years ago.
I was in Japan at this time. I was a student. I was studying abroad in Japan. Okay.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so it's called Japan to invest in robots, not immigrants, to provide healthcare for aging population.
All right. How well did that go?
Well, I mean, the article explains, you know, how the cost of everything and what their plan was. But, I mean, 10 years later, we see that they're looking for foreign nursing care workers. So I guess that kind of backfired, huh?
Very much so. Because didn't we talk about this? I can't remember the episode, but I talked about how at least Chiba Prefecture, there's like nursing programs and stuff to like help bring nurses from, I believe, Vietnam, right? Over. And they'll give you like training and stuff and like Japanese courses and all of that. So yeah, I guess that did fail.
Sorry.
That's so silly. What are they doing with all those robots now? They're probably putting them in like Caesarea and stuff and like all the family restaurants.
Well, yeah, because in the picture, do you know the robot named Pepper?
I didn't know they had a name, but I'm looking at this picture and like, yes, I've seen this thing before.
I think Pepper's a she. She's like the size of, I don't know, like a 5 or 6 year old. She doesn't have legs. She kind of looks like a mermaid, and she glides, but she has arms. But I've seen Pepper. There's like a Pepper restaurant in Tokyo.
Oh, like themed after her, Pepper?
Yeah, and all the servers are Pepper.
Because like I said, they got to put them somewhere. They spent all this money on them. With them. Yeah.
Yeah. I also worked at an eikaiwa before, and they had Pepper at the reception.
I just wheezed from laughter. What? Yeah. And was she speaking Japanese or English?
She was bilingual.
Oh, of course she was. Yeah, that's
maybe
right.
Maybe trilingual. I don't know.
Checking or working reception at an eikaiwa?
Yeah.
Okay, that just shows we need more people in our workforce because that's a little sad.
Yeah. Okay. I found the article. It was linked from a Reddit post. So basically some of the comments on there were I guess it's a good idea, but also that's not helping the isolation of elderly people.
No, you've got to put her in a nursing home or something. Have her talk to some people. I've seen have you seen those little robots? They look like because you can pick them up too.
The pet ones?
They're kind of like pets, but they act like little, pets, but babies kind of. They want to be carried and stuff. And they're cute. And they're warm too, because you can hold them. And the exterior of them isn't mechanic or anything. They've got some kind of fuzziness about them. But yeah, so.
Well, that's cute.
It's cute. And I see them and I see the way they advertise them. I'm like, Oh, it's so sad though, because it's like clearly targeted for like all the lonely like elderly here probably to talk to someone and like.
That's true.
Yeah.
But isn't it a good replacement for a pet? Because if they had a cat or a dog, they might not be able to care for it properly.
That's true too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's positives and negatives to all this.
It's just very like not dystopian, but like it's very sci-fi to me that we have. But then again, like this has always been going on since like I was small. Like, do you remember those little robot dogs that like the toy robot dogs? I think they're from Japan too. You can't remember? No, I used to have one of those as a kid. So, like, who am I to talk? But, yeah. Nice stories today.
Okay. All right. That's all I got for today about healthcare. So, we could probably do a part 2 in the future if you have any stories. If you don't want to comment it publicly, you can always email us.
Yes.
ConbiniCultPod@gmail.com.
One more time.
ConbiniCultPod@gmail.com.
Yay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for bringing those stories. I will go to the doctor after this. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Yeah. Might have a life update a couple episodes from now about how my thyroid exam went. We'll see.
And maybe I will too, but we'll see. Okay. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.